afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacaster from your host, Imperial Dane, Master of Propaganda, Hero of Select, Defender of the Fatherland. Off here to an exciting 1 vs 1 on Langraskaya. Between the north, you got Talisman fighting here for America, freedom and democracy. Here with the 3rd Army Division versus the south, you got Nico fighting for Germany, Deutschland, the Oberkommando West, and the 110th Panzer Brigade. He's going here with Luftwaffe, Spec Ops, and Breakthrough, doubling to the Kitten versus Talisman's Heavy Cavalry, Recon Support, and Mechanized. Where they're helping here of double Sherman bulletins and single rifle bulletin here for increased veterancy gains on the rifleman. We got a double Volksgrenadier going to start here for Nico with a double rifleman start for Talisman. Both up in there, of course, for a bunch of infantry to hurt the other fellow with. Nico, though, setting out aggressive as a Storm Pioneer, is going to try for a more disruptive start versus Talisman. Now, in this case, he's quickly falling back here. He could have maybe tried rushing for the house and occupying that, but in this case, he's taking slightly more slow, yet somehow still pressing and disruptive, but not too disruptive either. You know, he's sort of being polite about it. Yeah, I don't suppose you mind if I conduct a little blitzkrieg for here, 9? That's okay. I'll just, you know, bomb your cities and whatnot. Don't want to be too impolite. Anyway, Storm Pioneers pushing back the rear echelons. Folks, they're pushing hard for the west. For Nico. So the Storm Pioneers are definitely there to just put pressure on Talisman here a bit closer to this base. Make it a bit harder for Talisman to push it safely as the Volksgrenadiers then sweep in and secure as much territory as possible here for the Panzer Brigades. With a 3rd Volksgrenadier squad there for Nico. Wiring off here to now cover to Talisman down the road. Both sides going for a 3rd Infantry squad. Standard stuff. No real surprises there. No gasps of amazement or dismay here. Just rather standard play here in terms of build orders, that is. Nico, though, can need to pressure at the west side here. No Kuba wagons for him. He just wants more infantry. He doesn't necessarily have doctrines sort of massively benefit from it, though in some way all the doctrines somehow help him. Here you got Valiant Assault. Here you got Infiltration Tactics. And here you got the Sturm Officer. So, I mean, in essence, you can always sort of sneak in something that synergizes with having a lot of Volksgrenadiers. Rather than holding about here, we got Volksgrenadier with center sandbags down here. In the east, got Rapid versus Storm Pioneers. Right now, though, Nico's scanning his forces pretty thin, and there you go. Talisman striking hard, and the centre's going to overwhelm the single Volksgrenadier squad there. We got more troops coming up. These going to hit the fuel point there, and we got a western Volksgrenadier squad pulling back towards the house here to try and stall Talisman. But this center is going to collapse. It is going to fall. We do have a Brandhandgranate, and it's a grenade to try and stall the Americans. So ultimately, there's just too many Americans, too much firepower for Nico's Volksgrenadier squad to really stand a chance here. And we can see Talisman just does not hesitate to go straight for the cut-off point here. We got a 4th Volksgrenadier squad out there for Nico. As for Talisman, he's aiming there for the Lieutenant, which increases the overall odds, I think, of Recon Support. Got the fuel point here. We got sandbags down. Note the way he's placed them right here behind the light cover, meaning if Talisman wants to use the sandbags, it's going to be a bit more awkward due to the way it sort of blocks, but also might just get a light cover bonus. So good stuff there for Nico, at the same time flanking behind here after having hit the cutoff point. Sneaking up and hitting the cutoff point here so he can't enjoy the fruits of the eastern fuel point. Some sharp maneuvers there by Talisman. Ambulance on the way to help heal his troops. Trot on the way for Nico. Lieutenant's going to be some time off there at the same time as the Lieutenant. So bit to go. Up north, right, there's his Volksgrenadiers. Almost got the munitions there. In the south, they managed to hit the cutoff point, but they won't be able to actually hold it, since they are incredibly unhealthy. They might actually risk being wiped out here by the Sturm Pioneers on retreat, since they are in fact so incredibly unhealthy. It's not going to take more than a German sneeze to do the job, and there you go, executed. In the far west, though, infantry being pulled in here. 2 full Volksgrenadiers to defend the fuel point there. Good work by Talisman, though of course he can't linger too long. Nico, though, could I think try and switch a bit further here to sort of further threaten the retreat path of the rifleman. They could just try and move ahead, sort of just, you know, force them off the fuel. In this case, it seems like he's sort of neither of these two things, just in terms of just finding out their path, just because we've got other things to manage. In these, we've got the Lieutenant, we've got Rifleman going here for a much deeper flank against the Volksgrenadiers. Good work there by Talisman's Rifleman, very good work. Leaving Nico's Volksgrenadiers there in a bit of a sticky situation. Quick incendiary grenade off there, doesn't quite work out the way he had hoped. And there you go, pushed away another incendiary grenade here on the Rifleman by the eastern fuel point. And we got Rifleman further flanking behind it, catching Nico's Sturm Pioneer in a pretty sticky situation, forcing a retreat there. The Lieutenant, though, has suffered heavily, but overall, Talisman here making good progress versus Nico and the 110th Panzer Brigade. which was of the second series of Panzer brigades. I think that's all true. They have seen mentions of 3 series of Panzer brigades. Flak half-track for Nico. Sandbags have been grabbed. I think most Panzer brigade flak half-tracks would have been a version though equipped with the flak drilling, or a slightly more sort of particular version of the one with just the 2cm flak. But flak drilling was, I think, sort of the sort of more common flak half-track you roll sort of for the later stage of the war. Either with 15mm or 20mm triple flaks. That's a fun fact. Forces moving eastwards, grabbing the point here. The Panzer brigades were basically sort of a result of the loss at Normandy and doing Operation Back Ration, sort of quickly form up sort of armoured forces. In this case, the Panzer brigades were specifically formed with defeating Russian armoured formations in mind, because sort of specifically sort of designed around Kampfgruppen that had been doing quite well at disrupting such Soviet armoured spearheads. The irony, of course, being that most of the Panzer brigades were then employed against the Western Allies, for which they were completely unsuited. Especially because in most cases the Panzer brigades did not have a lot of time to actually train its men. 5th Cavalry and the Flak pushing back, so we've got the Mardus out there for Talisman, some more firepower. No light vehicles yet, so Nico's going to have the edge here with the Flak half-track. If he can just find anything with it and murder it. And here troops being suppressed by the 5th Cavalry. Got rifle pushing in here. No grenades for Talisman, and he's not probably feeling too keen on getting too close due to the risk of an incendiary grenade. Also in this case those were rather low health. There we go, got the grenade, but he's going after the weaker ones, so we quickly dodge it. Got Sturmgewehrs up for Nico. And in the west there, a successful repulsion of Talisman's infantry. Phased harassment. He's trying to stay out of range of the 5th Cavalry so he can fit in the fuel as well. Very good work there by Nico. Very good work, and in the far west as well, hitting the point here. So we can see Nico remains on the offensive. Talisman is going to go for the anti-aircraft half-track, in part to counterly stall the flak half-track as well, which is definitely supporting Nico. And he's also very quick to use the handbrake ability or handbrake mode to just ensure it does move too far. Also diminishes micromanagement mishaps, which is certainly not a bad thing either. Returning there, just stalling, buying time for the anti-aircraft half-track to arrive, and meanwhile the Germans are just intent on flashing that, and there you go. But we got the flak, or the anti-aircraft moving in, the M15A1. There you go, catching the flak half-track, which is firing back, but it's already taking too much damage. Has to pop smoke and get out of there. Following up like Kednev, he's not moved. Accidentally pushed the handbrake down there. My God, Fritz, this is not the time for proper parking. Get us the hell out of here. But there you go, hitting the eastern fuel. Very good work there by Nico. Definitely avoiding the 5th Cavalry inside the house. That is some solid infantry play. And overall, Nico remains to control most of the map here versus Talisman. But there you go, Sturm Pioneers can't hide from the anti-aircraft half-track. But they can run really fast. Nothing going in Talisman's base, so we do have the first option here, and it is Recon Support for Talisman. He can actually use this after that sees the point, but does not want to do that. He obviously wants to get it elsewhere. Nico though remains doctrineless, though he obviously does have several options here versus Talisman and the 3rd Armoured. There you go, the flak half-track opening up. No repairs for it. Sturm Pioneers should probably get to work on that as soon as possible. But they are waiting some first aid back at the base. Hitting the point there. Nothing further going on except weapon racks to Talisman. He's got plenty of munitions to add a bunch of BARs, which has certainly put up a lot more firepower versus Nico. It's going to make him a lot more formidable in the infinite fights. Except against a flak half-track, obviously. Which is really going to be, it's going to, I think, this is going to be like, there you go, nope, oh, he's set up like Kednev for near the flak half-track. He's anticipating the counter, in this case, the anti-aircraft half-track. He's going to use the Kednev to sort of punish Talisman for it. Though he really should get that flak half-track repaired. He can't really keep those things up. But there you go. Almost got the anti-aircraft half-track. So, definitely a clever idea there by Nico. Just a bit of bad luck. Just a bit. Flak half-track though slowly encroaching the infantry 1 in the centre, right and pushing the fuel point there, equipped with their BARs. And we got here an airdrop combat group for Talisman. paratroopers with the 82nd Airborne called in, plus an anti-tank gun. Bringing up another counter here to the Flak Halftrack, and of course just some elite infantry, which could certainly make things more sticky for Nico, and particularly just at the Browning light machine guns. They could really threaten the Fulton Grenadiers. Looks like one was lost to the trees. My God, trees. The eternal enemy of the paratrooper. Fulton has been absolutely shot to bits in a hailfire 50 caliber machine guns from the Halftrack and the 50 caliber machine inside the house, but there we got a Banham Granada flying through the window, lighting the entire end of the house on fire, turning into a barbecue. And there's Yankee on the menu. In the west here, the Fulton's fighting against a large amount of Americans when the Lieutenant ultimately pulls through here, noting he does not have the double BAR on the Lieutenant. And Nico going here for the MD-34, also going to just continue good pressure in the fuel in the east, though he's now losing control of the western one. Needs to get forces in there. He's going active for double MD-34s. A lot of machine and gewehr in here for Nico. Alongside the Flak Halftrack means he's got a lot of suppressive firepower versus Talisman. That should certainly not be taken lightly. That could make it harder for Talisman to use his infantry. Even the more elite paratroopers will be yet to be upgraded. They could go for the Browns, but there you go. They're going to come under fire here from the Flak Halftrack. 2 centimeter flak. They're tearing into them. Shoot, Helmut! Just keep shooting until they stop screaming. That is the usual procedure for the Flak. But there you go. Now gaining most of the eastern side here. West side is now open to Talisman, and Talisman, of course, very quick to take advantage of. He's not going to try and just, bash his head on onto Nico just without any sort of preparation, just at least throwing away some of the forces towards the west there. And when this gives Talisman then a better chance of actually pulling through in the east. So this is some very good tactics there. But Talisman, of course, Nico is not making it easy for him. And there you go, Greyhound following up here. Talisman aiming for some faster cavalry attacks, so they just try and burst through here using lighter vehicles. Versus Nico, who's only got the Flak Halftrack, and there's both an anti-aircraft Halftrack and a Greyhound. That's going to be a bit harder here for Nico to just sort of stall it down, and there's more chance for Talisman just rush through and sees a lot of territory. And there you go, uses raid tactics to further increase his chance. They're very good work. Fulton's up close, they just retreat. They're not going to enjoy any sort of fight there versus the double 50 calibers and the 30mm gun there point blank. So there you go. Great tactics, allowing him to just seize the east side there rapidly in a matter of moments. Well played there by Talisman. A quick shift turn around. And also just one of the reasons why Recon Support is pretty good. And just, again, rate tactics is a pretty powerful ability. Granted, most of the, grab points abilities in their own ways are actually pretty powerful abilities. So good work there by Talisman. Good work. Troops are healing, reinforcing. Rifleman standing about. Interesting enough, he could have pushed a bit further forward there, but perhaps he was worried about something hiding about here, which could have taken out his Halftrack or his Greyhound. In fact, the Greyhound is being shifted westwards. Anti-tank, and he's recruited using paratroopers. That's a pretty expensive recruiting there by Talisman. I mean, it'll be a bit harder to kill for infantry. You can fight versus infantry better, but it's not going to make any real effect versus vehicles, and it's going to make it more expensive to reinforce. So it's a curious choice there by Talisman. Certainly not what you'd expect. And there you go, ground tank hits. Almost got the Flak Halftrack. Almost got it. There we go. He got the Flak Halftrack with the Greyhound, but the Greyhound does go down. Did manage to do that much, so I would describe it as a bit of a waste of resource here by Talisman. Even it does mean that Nico is now without any light vehicles to stop Talisman and slow him down. So, I mean, that's still going to be pretty big for Talisman, but the question, of course, is it worth a Greyhound? And I'm not entirely sure of that. We got the Scrap Panzer, of course, will soon be set up for Nico, which can allow him to push out a Panzer 4. And that certainly will be easier without a Greyhound to cause problems for Nico and the 1/10th Panzer Brigade. Okay, Merfolk moving up. In fact, we got a big push here for Nico through the centre. This is kind of a valiant assault from Luftwaffe ground force would benefit him. He could just, push it fast with a lot of firepower, overwhelming any infantry in the way here of Nico. But he does not go there. He does not go there, which is definitely to the benefit of Talisman. Always could have been thrown really far back to his base. But even then, fresh push in the west. Both players they're focusing heavily on the resources and the fuel, and of course while they're also putting attention in the centre, they're never just grinding each other down mindlessly. They're not engaging in meat grinder tactics. There's a lot of manoeuvre, a lot of flanking attempts, and perhaps not the biggest flanking attempts, but some flanking attempts, and that's good to see, and certainly also indicates some higher style of play there. Grabbing the eastern fuel point, losing the western fuel point, or you can put it the other way around. We got the MG-34 moving up. Catching the lieutenant in a sticky spot before someone running away. Grabbing the eastern fuel, and back here we got repairs going on for the anti-aircraft Halftrack. No further takeoff for Talisman, and there you go, we got the pair coming up with the pineapple grenade, and interesting enough he's throwing it right in front of the door, hoping his opponent would run in front here and not choose this one. Did not work out there for Talisman though. Lieutenant here trying to flank the MG-34. We got Stern Pioneers covering that as much as possible. Talisman here remaining on the back foot versus Nico and the 1 10th Panzer Brigade, which is so far putting up some good pressure against the Americans, and in a few moments can actually go for a Panzer 4. He could try a Panther, but the Panzer 4 would turn off more pressure now versus the infantry. One thing though is he does yet to go for Doctrine. I definitely feel like that is a bit of a doctrinal mistake by Nico, and not going for one in the first place. I mean, most of his doctrines don't really benefit from being held back this long. Like, a lot of them tend to offer some kind of benefits in the earlier stages of the game. So him just having all of these doctrines and then not choosing them, I feel, isn't too efficient. And there you go, Panther 4 for Nico and the 1 10th Panzer Brigade. The first wave of Panzer Brigades were exclusively equipped with Panthers and Yak Panzers. In fact, they took away all the things which were actually meant to replace losses in Panzer divisions. Much more experienced crews, there were definitely some issues with that one. But by the second series, they were starting to run out of equipment, so they actually had, pull away Panzer Force and Active Corps were also meant as replacements. So in that regard, the Panzer Brigades could be seen as, in many cases, a waste of equipment that could have been used but elsewhere better, to be honest. There were a few Panzer Brigades that actually did pretty well. Most of those were upgraded to, full divisional status, and in one case one was kept around for quite some time, but most of them were basically disbanded, replaced, or just used as replacement elsewhere. After taking the westwards, there we got the Fulton List Veterans G4 pushing back to Yankees. In the centre, they're being overwhelmed by heavy firepower. There's Talisman makes a push for that centre victory point. Also, Talisman's down to just 200 already versus Nico's 483. This is not encouraging. Also, he has yet to upgrade his paratroopers. No bazookas, no Browning light machine guns, and there we go. Panzer 4 rolling ahead for the fatherland, engaging the Yankees. Fulton's MG-34 moving up because that's a big push here with Nico, and again note the tank is being supported by infantry. This is good. Got the M1 setting up, we got the anti-aircraft Halftrack, we got the paratroopers in the centre, we got troops moving up with machine guns in the west, we got a push as well. So I mean right now, Talisman's are managing 3 efforts. One in the centre, one in the far west, and of course the big one here in the east. There's the Panzer 4 that is making its own big effort here for Nico. So a lot going on here, certainly a lot going on for Talisman, particularly. Nico I think isn't quite doing as much elsewhere. So quite neat to note there again how Talisman's able to just juggle all of these balls. Again, there's probably some queued up orders in the far west, was not expecting too much in a bit in the centre, and there you go, moving up here to support the main eastern effort. So he's sort of joining them up together as well. MG-34, they're pinned down, 50 up in trouble. There we go, we got the Fulton's retreating. Nico's eastern push running into issues, but even then it's ending up serving as a distraction for him hitting the eastern fuel point there. Good work by Nico. Of course, he's losing his own fuel point in the process, so less good there, Nico. Less good. There we go, another pineapple grenade. Ends up not doing too much before the paratroopers retreat, and there you go, flanking behind the Fulton with an anti-aircraft Halftrack, close to Veteran 3 there. Talisman probably here could easily consider taking up now and going for some medium armour to help counter Nico's Panzer 4. Nico here at the close to 20-minute mark, so right before he hits it, he goes for special operations, opening up for infiltration tactics, assault rifles, and of course command Panthers, flares, and radio silence. Forces the retreating, rifle opening up. Sending grenade goes off nicely, we've got the anti-tank gun nearby. Hitting the eastern victory point. Panzer IV though is going to be out of the fight for a bit of a while, in particular since the Sturm Pioneers are basically grabbing a victory point. So this could give Talisman more time to push in, and he's also taking up there. Major is slowly on the way, so he can also soon fill up with a Sherman tank here versus Nico. Folks is fighting in the west. There's the lieutenant. We have still not been upgraded with the WBAR, so we've got 50 caliber supporting. Major out. Can the major lead to a major turnaround for Talisman? Watch and find out. Sherman, they're almost done. Oh, well, actually just begun. So it hasn't, and it's not almost done. Far from it. MG Federal to support the forces in the west, but arrived simply put too late to have any impact. And the centers in security here by Talisman as well. So Talisman is now really putting some serious pressure on Nico, and Nico will likely have to go for another tank soon after he gain enough pressure to push back at Talisman. Otherwise, he could risk him being destroyed if he tries to play for a Panther, and heavens forbid a King Tiger. Nico, I think, would also benefit from some orbital darting with infantry Sturmgewehrs or assault rifles. Infantry Sturmgewehrs or light machine guns. I mean, they're both the same thing the other bit I mentioned, mate. God damn it. Fulls versus paratroops. Here we got another grenade attempted here. So far, though, Talisman has not had the best luck with his grenades. It has been a bit limited, if you will. Rifle versus Fulton is being pushed back here. Got the now veteran, the 3 anti-aircraft Halftrack moving in. And the far west is defensive gun off the fuel point. 50 caliber and a lieutenant. Going to be more difficult here for a single Fulton squad to deal with that. It's going to need more troops to push it away. At least the Panzer IV. And Nico is taking up. But it looks like he's going to be aiming for the King Tiger. And generally, if you got only a single Panzer IV, it's not what I'd recommend. You generally kind of want 2 armor pieces if you want to pull for that, I think. I mean, you could still put it off if you really like place that Panzer IV like a genius, but there's certainly a potential problem that you just get swarmed by tanks meanwhile, or he loses the Panzer IV to do something, and then, you know, doesn't do enough. So we'll see here what it ends up with. The Panzer IV there collapsing Talisman's west flank. Got the half jumping up into the MG-34, no intended armor piercing around to deal with it. Instead, trying to deal with every anti-tank gun crew. In the center, smoke screen down here from Talisman. Good use there of the smoke screen ability. Very good use. Covers up his infantry, protect them from the machine gun, and for that matter, the Panzer IV. Excellent work. Also looks like he's actually able to steal Nico's Raketenwerfer. That's a bit of loss there for the German army. We did lose the 50 caliber there, at least the crew is dead. Creeping up like Raketenwerfer to grab it. As the MG-34 just fires right at the Sherman, and he lost another crew here. In these, this time the anti-tank gun crew got wiped up by a few Fulton Grenadiers. Bit unfortunate there for Talisman. "17 kills. The Raketenwerfer spotted. Retreat. Can he get away there in time though? Looks like the answer this time is yes. And there you go. Paratroopers still without any upgrades for Talisman, and that's quite a bit of while they've gone without any upgrades. Usually most people just prioritize getting them upgraded where they want as fast as possible. Another smoke screen here to protect around the center. I think he's trying to grab the 50 caliber. But the Panzer IV with its attack ground around the anti-machine gun is making it a bit harder here for Talisman to do just that.
The Germans just cut off our supply lines. Coming fire! We've been promoted.
But there you go, manages it nonetheless. He's down to 160 versus Nico's 467. So a tiny lead here to oh no, I think a tiny lead. He's just stabilized it as Nico enjoys a massive lead. And he's just been forced to abandon the center victory point. So right now, Nico could easily just rush it and seize it, but he's interested enough in not doing that so far. Could be a small blessing here for Talisman. Could be a very small one, but still a blessing. He's not even trying to send it like Kedner for the MG-34, but there you go. Infantry moving forwards. In the south here, folks are dealing with a 50 caliber and a few depleted riflemen. You might want to try and hit the western victory point instead of this one. Just a bit. Though they are pretty close to each other, the two victory points. I mean, you can sort of have them in the same sort of part of the screen, whereas comparatively, this is not quite as easy. But there you go, pushing up. Here's Sherman on the way there for Talisman, a second tank. Once again, Nico seems to aim for a King Tiger. There's definitely a possibility that the Talisman just gets ahead now as Nico begins just, you know, piling up resources that do nothing in the meanwhile. So Nico here could recently risk, you know, giving Talisman a fat lead if he's not careful. Even he's down to 106 and he's got, you know, 455. You should still be careful about just trying to play for a King Tiger without sufficient forces on the field to contest the board of the field in the meanwhile. So the King Tiger plan could prove to be a problem. Even the Command Panther is going to be a bit of a trick to pull off. And finally we can see Talisman goes for something further paired, which ends up being the double bazookas. It's not like he's got a lot of tanks to deal with, but he apparently decides he just wants bazookas. Panzer that takes a hit, blizzes away and gets knocked out, and that's a big loss for Nico, meaning now he's up against two Sherman tanks and he's aiming for a King Tiger, we assume. And that means the King Tiger is going to be out there to much weaker situations as the Shermans, and meanwhile now could just destroy a lot of Nico's things, meaning there's going to be less support for the King Tiger once it finally hits. Troop shielding reinforcing. Pulling up the east. In the west we got a bit of fire there on the Volksgrenadiers. Well, he's not seemingly aiming for the Panther. It's either the Command Panther or the King Tiger, but considering he has an upgrade of this, it certainly seems like a King Tiger. And it's going to be about 3 to 4 minutes before he can call anything else. At the same time, theoretically, Talisman can get the resources for Jackson to help deal with the King Tiger. I mean, it should at this point be, you know, thinking, because his opponent hasn't got anything else after that Panzer. It's not like, you know, he's been, you know, not getting a lot of fuel, so that would certainly increase the possibility of some kind of late game tank. So either, you know, Command Panther or King Tiger. And most players in these situations, unless they're desperate, tend to aim for a King Tiger, and so far Nico does not seem to be, you know, desperate. So there's a high likelihood that the Talisman has seen through Nico's moves and will just, you know, prepare ahead of time to deal with the King Tiger. Oh, they're almost losing this German, but gets away there. Damn close. Bit of pressure from the south here from Nico. Fulton's moving ahead. They're losing the western fuel point again, though, to Talisman and the 3rd Armoured. And now Talisman enjoys control of all 3 victory points. You know, he can actually bleed out Nico and maybe, just maybe, cut down his lead. So, you know, more manageable degree. Tank moving ahead. He could actually try and engage the scrap hunter force, take it out. He got cluster bombs around the entrance here of Nico's base. The question is, will be doing anything? And there you go, got our kennels running up. There you go. A lot of explosions here, but no real damage to Nico or the 1 in 10th Panzer Brigade, as the bombs mostly just make a lot of noise and kick up some dirt.
Sherman ready to go.
Back there, reinforcement, healing, preparing for the next big push.
Capture point is being overrun.
50 Copper supporting a push here, sort of trying to further just push Nico back to his base. Not quite ending up with the results here. I think Talisman's home force troops are getting suppressed instead. And Nico is not too far from the King Tiger. That's going to take more time due to the fact that he just got harassed pretty aggressively, lost control of his fuel point.
Overrunning one of our capture points.
Talisman, by the way, can now go for the Jackson. And I do believe, except he can't. He's actually at full pop cap. He's got exactly 100 victory population there, so he can't go for Jackson. He wanted to, though of course he can quickly go for one if he does lose anything. So we'll see here what Talisman's up with versus Nico, and what Nico does once he gets the King Tiger out. Because it's even then one thing to go for a King Tiger, it's another thing to actually make good use of it. Lost machine gun crew there to the Germans, to the Krauts, and there you go, gaining the western field point. Is he going to use his paratroopers to crew that though? Seems like it. So there is 2 paratrooper machine gun teams now out here for Talisman. Lieutenant pulling up here. I don't still think he got double PARs. Indeed, he does not. You got smoke down here from the Shermans again, basically allowing him to move for the centre victory point. Very good. Good use of smoke there by Talisman, and good use of the Sherman smoke in particular. It's probably also one of the most efficient ones. A lot of the other abilities, it takes some time before they get going, if you like, for example, use it from a mortar. But the Shermans, it's almost instantaneous when you pop the smoke and the smoke hits. Good work there by Talisman. Good Arbeit. And there you go, Nico's not too far here from the King Tiger. He's got the fuel, he just needs the manpower. Obviously with this we can also, he's clearly intending for the King Tiger, which begs the question, why did he go for Spec Ops then? He's also flooding a ton of munitions. No mines from Nico, and certainly, I mean, not to the extent he can just spend a lot of these munitions, not say value the sort from the Luftwaffe, which I think could benefit him quite a bit. German striking in the west. High explosive rounds here from the veteran T2 crew, landing a few nasty explosions upon the Volksgrenadiers. There you go, heavy rocket final turn here. Almost taking out the Sherman, but gets away. Also gets one more cannon for crews. Rifleman in. We got no grenades here though for Talisman. In the south, troops being held up here by Talisman, Sherman, and 50 caliber. Nico very close to the King Tiger, but I mean his economy is just more or less just on hold as he aims for it. He can't really push a lot there. And he's basically lying here. Talisman, he's just bleeding out of victory points as he then saves up for the King Tiger. There we go. Tiger 2 out for Nico. Will this be able to, turn the game around and save his day? That's going to be the big question here for Nico. So sending out there with the Tiger 2 with its 88mm high velocity gun. Paratrooper spotted, but there you go, opening up in the Tiger tank. Tiger shoots back though, blows apart Bob. Getting some kills in there, some damage in like everything lost here from the King Tiger as well. Paratroopers and like everything retreating in the face of the King Tiger. Shots bounce off. Here in the centre of the rifle being suppressed, the Falcons are also getting suppressed. So both sides having the troops suppressed, and it could move the King Tiger to deal with that, but in this case Nico takes no chances and immediately sets his one Steel Pioneer squad to repair it. Not wanting to risk any damage engine that way, losing it. So I think it's a prudent but a wise choice there by Nico. I still think overall the wisest choice would have been going for another tank first before going for a King Tiger. And there you go, Tiger 2 once more ready to challenge the Allies. Sending about there. Looking for Tiger to do in this case a few marauding riflemen. There we go. Blasts almost half the unit into oblivion. And there we go. Most of the unit dead to the King Tiger. Grab the centre victory point, grab the western one. We got counterattacks here with Rifleman, Lieutenant, Sherman like Kevin and Patrick hunting the show in the centre. Then we got troops suppressed, taking losses. And there you go, King Tiger was taking hits there. Well, he's supposedly taking hits. There you go. Kenneth getting a penetrating hit. Bazooka fire there from the paratroops also succeeds eventually free, but there's a chance of losing it to the King Tiger if it can hit. And there you go, grenade almost off the Fulks, almost got the paratroops, almost got them. Oh, almost dead there. Bazooka left behind. Kenneth retreating in the centre there. We got the Sherman moving in, threatening here Nico centre lines. Good work there by Talisman, good use of the Sherman. King Tiger, though, is still very much a threat here to Talisman now and the 3rd Armoured Division. Folks, they're pursuing the Sherman. And there's nothing major stating about. In the west here, we got Rifleman versus Fulks Grenadiers. Double BR, so there we go. Got a wipe on Nico. We really should consider some mobiles I think here. Versus Talisman. Talisman probably got a lot of fuel, a lot of manpower again. He's been in this situation with just, I mean, he hasn't suffered a lot. They hasn't had to replace his troops, in part because, again, Nico was just on the defensive, waiting, to call it King Tiger, and Talisman now decided to press him very hard, being rather satisfied with what he had. So, I mean, Talisman, Talisman could have done, I think, a bit more versus Nico, but at the same time, there's necessarily not a, need to just throw it all away. As for Nico, though, I mean, he really should lay down some mines. I mean, he's got so much munitions, so at least, fire some flares off, something. Rather than just keep floating all that munitions. Doesn't really do him a lot of good. The Kenrev's bazookas there bouncing off the King Tiger. And he's got floating up. Got the Sherman there defending the fuel point there. 50 copper supporting. We've got German troops that are being obliterated. We also got the anti-Halftracks covering up. They're 24 kills. Pretty impressive. And there you go, halted and murdered. We've got double kills. We've got the Sherman taking it down to half health very rapidly, forcing Talisman to pull back the Sherman for now. King Tiger rolling back. He should probably go for some repair ponies, and there you go. But he should also go for some additional armour, Flamme Schwerpunted Quarters, and some Obersoldaten. We got 180 versus 106. So Talisman has actually rapidly able to just turn around the otherwise fat lead here that Nico had over Talisman in terms of victory points. That is not a good situation there for Nico. So not a good one, and I think highlights a bit you have to be careful about just going for King Tigers almost straight away there, as you risk conceding too much ground to your opponent if they know what they're doing. Which clearly Talisman is. Let's solidify here from the Major to make it harder for Nico to move out. I push for the center victory point. Takes a direct hit from his own artillery though. Got there we go, the western fuel point again. He's getting so much fuel compared to Nico, so much fuel. Also seems like Nico's being to obsess over the centre victory point, and whereas Talisman is able to better control the map and the sides of it, specifically hitting the resources and not over-focusing too much in the centre. King Tiger's heading through here. Major, Lieutenant, anti-tank and opening up. Pushing back here, Nico's King Tiger. Not wishing to risk it here versus Talisman. At the same time, he's going to have to eventually, because victory point wise, it is quickly going against him here versus Talisman. Veterans run for the King Tiger. Armour piercing rounds there, flying at the King Tiger's frontal armour. There we go, penetrating hit here. But into tank gun is incredibly low on health here and numbers, and could easily be decrued here by, well, you know, single hit. And there you go, leaves Talisman with that, and has tank and besides the kidnapper. Flank killed bazooka find Shermans. Sherman forced to retreat. King Tiger will hit though. Half health could be hit by an anti-tank rifle, and that's going to what's happened. Punishing Nico for just his King Tiger like that. Punishing him quite well. There we go. Talisman now has more victory points than Nico. bad news for Germany. Bad news. Fifth couple covering up there. We got troops pushing for the centre. And we got the Sherman moving in from these as well. You could also see in the half-track, it's clearly working as a opponent might try and rush up. He just wants to keep the half-track there covering up. I mean, it does help that Nico's not focused on now at this point switching out to like larger scale assaults in the east or anything else. He just keeps pushing for the centre. So again, I mean, whatever sort of brilliant or these smart tactics going there in the early game are now sort of vanishing in the face of just a case of Fuhrer syndrome and then Stalingrad syndrome, which is just, you know, really bad to combine during a match. I mean, it's generally better either of them than to just further combine them is not good. We've got a lot of cluster bombs going off here in the west. Stunning the King Tiger a bit, but not doing any sort of critical damage here to Nico. 64 points left. The MU-34 wiped on the western victory point. Hit there. Second rocket they're penetrating. Sherman in support as well. Almost half filled there. Go directly on like Kenro crew that takes out the entire thing. Got Floaters flanking. We got 54 points left here for Nico. Talisman Patrick going in there with a bazooka. Spectacularly misses the tank. They're hitting in fact the nearby house.
We're losing a capture point.
46. Folks are being pushed back. Using smoke here from the Shaman to make it hard for him to disrupt. Talisman ground the western victory point. Very good work there by Talisman. Again, good use of the Shaman smoke ability. Comparatively, Nico's not really making use of any of those abilities. In fact, he's barely making use of any abilities. There we go. Western point secure. Again.
Continue the push. They have
And there we go. Nico surrenders. A loss for Germany, a victory for America. Displaying the power of just using abilities and using tactics and not over-focusing on any point. I mean, that was really Nico's long-term downfall. Again, he just focused too much in the centre, but also he rather took that advantage he had and just, threw away by focusing on the King Tiger, which really puts his resources and economy on hold instead of just pushing out more tanks. I mean, generally, if you want to go for a King Tiger, I would suggest you at least have 2 medium tanks or something equivalent to hold the line, also ensuring you don't get, tactically, suddenly out-flooded by tanks easily. But instead, Nico only went for 1 Panzer IV, lost it shortly after, and while he was going for the King Tiger, really putting Nico on the defensive, while Talisman just kept pushing ahead here. So, I mean, overall, well played by Talisman, some solid play there. Nico, I mean, definitely in the early game had some good maneuvers, but again, he fell into the double trap of Fuhrer syndrome and Stalingrad syndrome, going for King Tigers while focusing on the centre of the map, neglecting the rest of the resources and the rest of the map. So, definitely not the best play there by Nico. So there you go. Hope you enjoyed this match. I hope you learned something from it. If you did, subscribe, tell a friend, share it with everyone. If you'd like to send a replay of your own, links in the video description. Please provide details way on the leaderboard. And if you like what I do and wish to consider donating or pledging on Patreon, links are on the video description. Every little bit helps, and of course allow me to keep doing this day after day, as I do try to do this for a living, so whatever you can help with is most appreciated. This is Imperial Lynching. Cheers, thank you for watching. Hope to see you all tomorrow for another sunny episode. Bye.